I wanted to first go over materials with you because I get a lot of questions about materials. And there's really so many options that it can kind of seem overwhelming at first. But the bottom line is all you really need to get started painting is paintbrushes, paint, and a surface. So don't let the abundance of available materials stop you from getting started. I'm going to go through and show you kind of all the different options of the things I have on hand here in my studio. And then you can start with the basics and then add to your collection from there. Have fun trying things out. That's what I did. I started with a few basic things and then it grew from there. And even at this point, I've narrowed back down to the stuff I actually love. So I'm going to go through what I've got and show you everything. The first thing I want to show you is paint. I mostly use acrylic paint. I use a variety of brands. I kind of just like choose the colors that I like. There's a few of my favorite brands, so I'll let you know that. This was one of the first brands I ever used back in college. It's the Liquitex Basics. It's a good thing to start out with. I really like these. I have a lot of these. I've also used this brand. It's the Master's Touch. It's okay. It's not as good as the basics, but I still use it. I use, I use these. Like sometimes I treat myself to these little colors here. It's a heavier body Liquitex. They're a lot thicker. And my favorite is the golden titanium white acrylic. I buy it in the big jar and I actually mix it with the others to get a better paint quality, kind of in those final layers when I want things to look really good. Another brand of paint that I'm obsessed with is the Target brand. These little ones are so good. They're like $2. They have a ton of colors and they just look really nice. They're really good quality. Even though the bottle's small, I really don't run out of them very quickly. So I have a big collection of these and it's just fun to buy them when I'm at Target. So I'm going to show you another view of all of my paint and sort of how I store it. I have a variety of brands, like I said, all organized by color. Some of the paint is more liquid, some of it is a lot thicker, and I kind of just grab what I'm feeling while I'm painting. So because I have kids and I only have a little bit amount of time to paint, I don't really want to be mixing colors. So I like to have a lot of different color options and a lot of different brands. And I just store them in rainbow order. And then over here, I get over to the liquid acrylic inks, which I adore. They're one of my favorite things as well. I have a lot of jewel tones, which I really like. I have some of the pearlescent kind. And I even mix it with my titanium white golden to get a really interesting consistency when I'm painting. And I'll demonstrate these, just showing you. I think I have a couple different brands. I have the FW, I have the Dr. P.H. Martins, and this new brand I've been trying is Amsterdam. And then down here is where I have all my small bottles. I have the Target ones that I mentioned. I have some of the dollar craft paint that you find at the craft store. I have some metallics, silver, gold, bronze, and some glitter paint as well. That is all down there. And then that kind of moves me on to paint pens, which I have a variety of, and I've tried a lot of brands. I really like the Posca paint pens. I have a set of these. You can just get these on Amazon. They come in different widths, so you can have like a really thin line or a thicker one depending on what you like. My current favorites though actually are the Sharpie water-based paint pen. They have to be water-based if you're doing acrylics. The oil ones don't work as well. So all of mine are pretty much water-based. I've tried the Montana paint markers. I really like this hot pink as well. I have some metallics and just a bunch of different colors. I have them like thin and thicker. And these are really nice when you're painting layers and you just want to draw on top of the layers, or you want to just make some different kind of thin marks. So I just like to have these on hand to just grab when I'm feeling inspired. Another thing I love doing is using like a charcoal pencil in my layers, or a watercolor pencil. They kind of really blend well with the layers, and even when you spray water on them, they kind of get sort of like a smoky look, and I really like using those too. I also have a set of watercolors that I picked up recently. I really haven't used it yet. I just know that watercolor was kind of like a big trend, and I felt like trying it out, but I haven't tried it yet, so we'll see what happens with that. But I like to have all the things to play with. Oil pastels. These are really well loved. Some of them are missing. I love this set. These are great for making marks in layers. And kind of like you can't really go over them with acrylics. So it just creates a different kind of contrast when you're putting oil with acrylic. And I really like these. And here's another set I picked up recently, which remind me more of chalk. They're not as rich and creamy as these ones. These are the ones I actually really like. Another thing I used to do, which I have right here, is collage. I have a lot of collage papers, and this is the varnish I use to stick it down. I used to do mixed media pieces when I first started trying out intuitive painting. And this is what I used to use. I really don't do it very much anymore. But I still have it here. I have a bunch of these larger sheets too, so that's an option. When I did mixed media, I also used some glitter. So I have some fine glitter in a couple shades here. One of my most loved tools, as you can see, is a water spray bottle. I use it in like every painting. It just creates those drips. If you paint too much and you want to kind of get rid of a layer and create a good effect, you can just squirt a lot of it and just get rid of like an entire layer and wipe it off with a paper towel and kind of go over it, and it just really creates some really nice texture. I also have a little bucket of paint here for my 2-year-old who has her own non-toxic Crayola paint. I put a little bit of this onto a paper plate for her and give her some brushes when I'm about to paint, and then she'll sit on the tarp and do some painting of her own. This is the spray varnish that I use to seal my paintings when I sell them. It's pretty matte, but it has like a slight shine to it. I really like it. I've used almost the whole bottle. And I recommend it. So for palettes, I literally just use paper plates. I've used the kind of plastic palettes that you rinse out. I've used palette paper. Ultimately, paper plates are my absolute favorite. I don't know, they're just the perfect size. I can spread the paint out rather than the plastic ones that have the little grooves in there and you kind of can't like mix everything together. So I really love using paper plates as palettes. Okay, let's talk tools, brushes, and everything in between. So I have a lot of brushes. I really don't have a preference on quality as long as the the bristles don't fall out. I mean, that is obviously a pet peeve when you're painting, but you know, I'm not really big on like high-end brushes. I kind of have, just like my paint, I kind of have a lot of different variety. I can use cheap brushes. I have some expensive brushes. I mean, not terribly expensive, but it's just nice to have a variety, to be able to pull whatever you feel like pulling while you're in the zone on painting. Also, I just like to have a variety of types of things to use. So, you know, I have small and large and medium. I have flat brushes. I have filbert, which I like this shape. I've used these ones quite a bit. They make a nice little shape on the painting. I have, you know, like a large pointy one. I like the fan brush. I just got a new one because my other one broke. So just a variety of shapes of brushes. I mean, it depends on the kind of art you do. If you need something that's very precise like this, then, you know, pick up those kinds of brushes. You know, it's nice just to pick up a variety pack and just sort of try them all out and see what you like based on the kind of art that you do. I love these foam brushes. They're cheap. They come in different sizes. They are so nice for blending, especially when I'm doing final layers and I'm blending like the golden titanium white with some inks, and I'm just doing a very soft layer with like not as much texture. These are really nice. I have big fun ones to play with like that. These like foam round sponges are good. I have sponge rollers. I have like this, I don't even know what it's called, for spreading paint. Sort of these bigger ones for spreading paint. There's some paint in there. As you can see, this is the aftermath of the last painting session. I mean, there's sort of everything thrown in there. I have a variety of jars too here, so I can throw in if they're wet or dry when I'm done with them. And the really important thing is just having everything set up and a space for everything, which really helps when you just have a quick 30 minutes or so to paint. Oh, also a palette knife. This is nice for spreading and like adding texture. I have some other texture tools that I'm not seeing right now that are kind of like this, but they have like ridges on the side. So really, I mean, just like the painting process, when you're painting intuitively, you know, just letting yourself be drawn to materials when you're at the art store. Like if you're drawn to a purple, you know, a deep purple ink and a bright yellow, you know, Liquitex Basic and, you know, some foam brushes and a couple paint pens. There you go. Just let yourself be drawn to that and try it out and play with it, and you'll learn as you go. I'm going to show you really quickly. I have a standing easel here, and then I have one of these big tarps from Home Depot, which my little one paints right there beneath me. It actually gets bigger than that, but I have, like, the rest of the room is a playroom, which I'll show you here. I have a little tabletop easel that I used to use when I sat and painted. Sometimes I just sit at my table here and paint flat, but most days nowadays, based on the kind of painting I do now, is I'm standing here at my easel. So it just depends on what type of painting you feel called to doing, sort of what your setup is going to look like. You know, obviously sitting down and doing mixed media is probably better, or if we're doing smaller detailed work, which I do sometimes. So it's really all up to you. One thing I forgot to mention is that I always have a roll of paper towels. They are really good for when you spray water on a painting and you want to kind of mop some of it up. You want to create some texture on a painting. I use them all the time, huge amounts of them while I'm painting. Also, baby wipes, just a tip, if you're painting with your children, are excellent to have on hand in the studio. And so the last thing I want to show you is surfaces. Again, you can have a variety. It depends on what you like. I mainly use canvases now, which I can't even believe that that's true, because for the longest time I only wanted to paint on wood. But I'm really just in love with canvases. The bigger the better. I want to go way larger than I am now, but I'll be headed in that direction. So here's a bunch of canvases I have. Some of these are finished, some of these are in progress. Sometimes I use like a thinner edge, sometimes I use a thicker edge, it just depends. There's different levels of canvases when you go to purchase them. They have like a student grade, an artist grade, and a professional grade. When I started out, I used the student. I use the artist now. So that's just depends on your preference of what you want to use. I also have paintings on wood, which I was obsessed with for a long time. I really love the grooves on wood. So these are, you know, big wood boards. They come in a variety of sizes. Here's a bunch of different surfaces I have here, from canvases to, you know, wood, birch wood panels. I have some rough, like sort of tree trunk wood surfaces to paint on. I've got burlap here, canvases in a variety of sizes, both rectangle and square shaped. Also just a big pad. It's 11 by 14 pad of mixed media paper, which can be really nice when you have that feeling of like a canvas being too precious when you're first learning and starting out, and you don't really want to commit to using that like $10 canvas or however the price is that you have. This can be really nice because there's 60 sheets in here, so it's just fun to play on these, and you can make little prints on them and use a variety of materials on them: acrylic, watercolor, mixed media collage, all of that. So yeah, I would just give yourself the chance to explore. And I started on my dining room table like 5 years ago when I started really painting on a regular basis and really learning a lot more about painting. And I had like some paper, some collage stuff. I only had like a few different paint colors. Like I think I literally only had like red, yellow, blue, black, and white. And I used to sit and mix colors. So, you know, just start where you are. Clear a tiny little space. It's really nice to have the designated space. If you can find a little old desk in the corner. I used to have a little desk in the corner of my kitchen. Just so you don't have to set up and take down materials every time you want to paint. But, you know, there's nothing wrong with that either. It's just all about getting started and letting yourself play and letting yourself follow that creative call that you're feeling inside. So I hope this material video was helpful, and I'm of course available to answer any questions you have. Good luck!